So the World Championship is now over. I'm here with Cristiano. We have some little bit of time before we
depart.
Yeah, and try the recovery process. So it was intense for you too?
It was very, very intense, yeah. It was flying every day, so even though I was not participating, of course, but always tried to fly to goal. So it was incredible flying, incredible conditions of this place, and I think all the pilots were quite happy with the way it went, and with all the live scoring, that nobody had any issues. So at the end of the day, we had, before everybody was on the bus, the scores were out, which is amazing.
Yeah, it's the fastest retrieve, fastest scoring pilots I've ever seen, I think.
Yeah, considering there was 150 of them over these planes, and it was windy in some days, which meant we had to fly downwind. The goal down as A08 near Bitola, that was like 50 k's away from here, so it was quite a drive, and even then, we had everybody back on time.
Yeah, it took much less time also to go to the launch because it's right there.
Yeah.
But okay, so you developed some new stuff, and you probably fine-tuned them here maybe a little bit?
Yeah, I've been working on the new instrument, which we'll show in Saint Hilaire. It's still a very, very crude prototype, so no pictures. But it's going to be something quite special, color screen, a couple of other very interesting goodies about the thing. I'm looking forward to seeing the guys in September. Next, I think it's about a month to go from now, and we'll have it out then for people to see, and then hopefully before December, everything goes as planned. We will have it for guys to actually try and start flying with it. So the new season and the end of the season will be with this new Flymaster.
Yeah. I saw this new piece of equipment. It's a bit bigger. Huh?
It's a little bit bigger, yeah. Let's hope it fits into everybody's flight decks. Otherwise, you're just gonna have to get a bigger harness.
Yeah, but I think that was your plan all along. You want to take the central space on every pilot's cockpit. I think.
Yeah, it's the plan.
No,
and we're going to be putting a couple of very interesting features. I was at this comp. One of the useful things about being here is you get to see how pilots fly, and I've come up with a couple of interesting ideas to put into the actual firmware of this new instrument. Maybe we'll bring it back also into the older instruments, that all the guys can still use at least part of the stuff. But yeah, for sure, there's going to be some really cool features for the competition pilots that I learned from coming to this comp and understanding about how the really fast guys fly.
Yeah, I know it's secret, but Saint Hilaire is the day you will finally know what's happening. But it's also actually this equipment is to the pinnacle of all the work you've been doing in the background on the system, on the cloud, I would say, the Flymaster cloud that you've been developing so far. Huh?
Yeah, so everything is linked back into our cloud system. So all the live tracking, all the live scoring, all the retrieve. So it's all based on the live tracking system, which of course the new instrument is also going to be highly equipped with. So live tracking is integrated. And of course, there's a lot of new stuff that we keep doing on the cloud, improving the viewership, improving the way that you actually can play back your things. This is one of the points that some pilots have been asking for. So we're going to be continue to work on that. So to play back the competitions. As far as live is concerned, I was looking at the statistics. We had 23,000 viewers just on the 2D side. I still need to analyze the 3D side of it throughout this comp, which is quite interesting. So 23,000 unique viewers that came in and see the competition.
Yeah, and I saw the 3D view. It's quite impressive with the 3D models. That was really something I've been looking for a long time. It really improves the viewing pleasure of those races. Huh?
Yeah, it's interesting to actually see what it feels like to be in the gaggles if you look at it from the 3D perspective, because you put yourself in the place of a pilot and you see how that gaggle, and these guys fly incredibly close to each other in huge gaggles. So when you look at it from the 3D perspective, that's the interesting about it. To actually see the race, 2D is a better option because you can understand the positioning and the routes and so on, which on 3D is quite difficult to get a real understanding. But of course we combine the two, so we do the 2D on one side and the 3D simultaneous on the same on the same screen, so you actually can view both and then switch between them. So click on a pilot on 2D, ask to see where he is in 3D, and immediately the camera will follow in 3D. So the camera control is automated to make flying around in the 3D world a bit easier, because otherwise people get lost without a camera help.
Yeah, you're right. You need two screens, huh? If I don't give up too much.
It's the same screen. Yeah, exactly. Quite true. Without giving away too much.
No. So we got this nice new live tracking features, but let's talk about the Flymaster live webpage, which is actually you have all the flights of all the Flymaster units in all the world.
Yeah, we've got a database for the last several years with all the flights. So every position second by second over these several years. It's a huge database, as you can imagine, so people can go into their accounts and see their flights in the past. Fly together, so you can actually replay the flights together with whoever was with you at the time. So this makes it interesting to watch later. The concept that we have is an open-ended concept, because some of the competing playbacks you sort of go back and see a task, and that kind of gives you already a time frame to watch. Because live tracking is just live, continuous. If you want to go back, we have sort of a jog shuttle which takes you back in time to go in. Okay, I want to go back to 3 days ago at 3 in the afternoon, not necessarily to a task. This sometimes can be a little bit confusing for guys, so we're going to make a simplifier which will automatically give you a time frame to view. That's something which is already being built into the 3D side of it. So the new viewer is already working with the scheme, so that you, instead of jogging back in time like rewinding a tape, you actually go see a clip within that time frame.
So in this database you also have where the climbs are located. Is that also taken care of in another database? Or?
No, it's all in the same database, so everything is there. So it's huge data. We are not at the moment exploiting any of this data. Of course, in the future, this can be a very interesting thing to get. Put a bit of AI on that and figure out where thermals are. Certain places will work, others may not work as well. If you're talking about flying in the mountains, there's the usual thermal triggers that you can identify. That combined with how the wind is on a particular day, a time of day, I think we can apply some artificial intelligence over that data set and come up with some conclusions. But we haven't done that yet. At the moment, it's just sitting there.
That would be nice. But also, all these tracks, they're relayed to another database, which is repertoriating or collecting all the free flights, sailplanes included, internationally for civil aviation use.
We do have a connection into something they call the Open Glider Network, which could be used not so much as a tracks, but rather to be visible to other aircraft. So there's a couple of projects going on about connection, about being able to see other aircraft in flight. There's certainly something like the ones used in the Swiss, which are the Flams and whatever. But ultimately, I think that this system, of course, it's becoming used in the Alpine countries, in some of the Alpine countries. However, the general aviation transponders are now becoming also very, very accessible and very small. So I'm not exactly sure where this is going to go in the future. Possibly we will be flying with some form of transponder to send our positions out to other planes, so we can be visible to other planes. Although, frankly, if we look back at the history of issues that we have in flight, most collisions are between pilots of paragliders. In this comp, unfortunately we had a collision, which was okay. Pilots were fine, but yeah, collisions are occurring with paragliders because we fly very, very close. Collisions between paragliders and other aircraft, not that many that I know of, and that's where things like TCAS and Flams and so on come into their own.
Yeah, but maybe you might be the foot in the door for entering the civil aviation system, because airspaces, controlled airspaces are growing in numbers, and we're constantly being pushed back in smaller and smaller flying spaces.
So I think the transponders will come into that play. If we're going to go into civil aviation, we have to stick to the norms that they have already in place. I mean, we're not going to be able to suddenly tell that all the Airbuses need to be now equipped with something which paraglider pilots invented. That's not the way to go. I think the way to go is we need to incorporate the technology that they already have on board, which is internationally known, called the transponder. Yeah. And they get really, really small.
How small?
Not that big.
All right. So you could maybe build a small unit, Bluetooth or something, accessible to a master instrument.
Yeah, it'll be it needs, I think, to be something external because it does need a little bit of power. It's very small in size, so something the size of a drone battery. These very high power batteries which deliver peaks of power because it transmits at pretty high power. So we'll see where this is going. We'll keep you posted on this line.
Yeah, and also something that you noticed with running this database is that we are the big end of the stick when it comes to flight hours. Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
In the whole world.
Yeah, even at this competition, I heard that all the pilots together, just in actual straight line flights, flew 3 times around the world, and we're not even talking about all the circles that they do. So they flew, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of Ks that we took the statistics. It's on the website. Go and look it up.
Yeah, I can't even fit the number into my head. Yeah. It's too big. Okay. So what else could we say? Do you have anything to add? You have a new machine, I heard, at your lab.
Yeah, we got a couple of new machines. We're constantly renovating or improving our production facility so that we can get the more advanced things and with higher quality out to our customers, to our pilots. And yeah, so that's it's an open door. So anyone who wants to come and visit us, just drop us an email and we'll schedule a visit and we'll gladly show you around.
Okay, a few more questions maybe about the new unit. Is the processing power getting bigger?
Yeah, it's much bigger. So the previous ones we were using 16-bit processors. For example, the Live we were at 70K of memory, which is not very much for today's standards. Although we do a lot with that amount of memory. I mean, considering how much it actually does with 70K of RAM, it's quite incredible. With this new unit, it's a 32-bit architecture. We've always looked at, try to get the lowest power consumption possible. We want to have 30 hours of battery life, which is custom on our. It's the usual thing on our instruments. So this one will also be 30 hours of battery life. Of course, because it's got a processor which does use a little bit more power than the other ones. The battery is a little bit bigger, but not terribly. And the processing power on the thing is quite impressive. It's a really nice processor. We're going to be able to do a lot of things. At the moment, I'm trying to wrap my brain about what the limitations of it is because it's quite.
You want to keep some power on the pedal under the pedal for future applications.
There's a lot we can do with it. It's obviously the first firmware versions. We are not going to exploit all the possibilities of the hardware that we have, but as customary with all our instruments, we keep growing. So we're constantly releasing firmware versions which are free for anyone who has the instruments throughout the lifetime of the instrument.
Oh yeah, something I was interested about it was the sound capabilities. It's got a digital signal processor now or something?
It has. We have digital audio inside it. So we have in fact the audio. There's 2 audios. There's an audio which is independent that does the vario side. And then we have the actual speaker that actually processes signals, and that's going to also create some really interesting. It's going to let you use your other senses, not just your eyes. You'll be able to use your ears for knowing what's going on around you.
Your nose, yes, to touch the screen.
Be a flight assistant.
All right. The GPS units, the GPS chips. Which one of you are you using, and also the sensor?
We're using the U-Blocks chip, which is all the U-Blocks modules, which are I think used in most instruments. They are the very, very high quality, very accurate, and yeah, we're sticking with those modules. They're getting smaller by the day. They support all the different constellations, so the GLONASS and and
Oh, yeah.
the future European one, which is already starting to come online, as well as the GPS one. So they use all the constellations, and they're actually pretty good the way they work.
Yeah, expensive parts, I bet, for that.
Expensive, yeah.
Yeah, 'cause it's not like the phone GPS units.
No. These things are they're much more expensive than the ones that you get on phones.
Yeah, 'cause sometimes it's shit on the
And
phone.
we cannot do what the phones do. They do dead reckoning, and you cannot do dead reckoning on flight instruments, because then you'll land up in situations where you'll be flying into a turn point where in fact you're not flying into a turn point because it keeps going straight. You've probably heard of that story.
What is that reckoning?
Dead reckoning is when the instrument loses GPS reception, but it figures out, oh, what the hell, he's going in this direction, he's not going to turn anywhere, so he'll just keep going straight.
Oh yeah, like you're in a tunnel or something.
Like you're in a tunnel, yeah. So you can imagine what that can do on paragliding. You can do some very interesting things, and I won't get into details, they get controversial.
Okay, thank you very much, Cristiano. I hope I can visit you again in your factory. I mean your hospital, your lab.
I'm breaking a leg because of that. Okay, looking forward to seeing you there.
Yes, and your fancy X-ray machine.
Yeah, cool, exactly. So see you in Saint Hilaire, I hope.
Thank you very much.